computer. We are recording.
Okay, very good. Good morning. It's October 9th, 2020. Pursuant to Governor Lee's Executive Order number 16 and the need to limit the community spread of COVID-19, the October 9th, 2020 Gallatin Economic Development Agency Board meeting is being held by electronic means to protect the public health, safety, and welfare of the board and the citizens of Gallatin. A video of the meeting will be posted online at GallatinGetsIt.com within 48 hours of the adjournment of the meeting. I need a roll call, please, for everyone to agree to have this meeting held electronically. Tom Neal?
Yes, I do.
Richie Harble?
Yes.
And Dwayne Scott?
Present here.
Okay, thank you very much.
Would you vote too, please, for the record?
Yes, and I'll vote as well to hold the meeting electronically. Thank you, Rosemary. So with that, we will call the meeting to order and ask for approval of the minutes from the September 11th meeting.
Move we approve. I've read them.
And I will second that.
And I'll take a roll call vote. All those in favor, Tom?
Yes.
Richie?
Yes.
Dwayne?
Yes.
And I'll vote to approve as well.
Okay.
Thank you. And approval of the financials. Somebody prepared to go over those?
We are pretty much on schedule. We're probably a little heavy in a couple of areas, mainly because of manufacturing month and all the items we had to acquire to prepare for that. Otherwise, we're just moving along as normal. In the reserve committed account, just to give you an update, the bid for the detention center, the public notice went up yesterday, and the bids are due Friday, October 23rd. Perhaps they'll come in under, like they did in our last project. There's a couple of other city projects that have come in under estimates, but we won't know until Friday afternoon, October 23rd. But everything is routine, except we have that $1 million sitting right there that like makes me feel like, ooh, what happened to our budget?
$1 million, of course, is for the road.
Right.
That the money that Facebook sent to us. So.
Okay.
And
Nice.
here's where I think you'll see there are a couple of spots where we are, we're through 41% of our existing industry budget. And again, that's because of what has gone on here. And we'll let Jasmine talk about Manufacturing Day month here also. So that's kind of where those dollars are going at this point in time.
Okay.
And we just really quickly show you that's our reserve committed account. And again, we don't have any overwhelming expenses in that at all.
Board, are there any questions? Then I'll, yes, Tom?
On the lot where they're building the retention pond, is that lot sold or not?
Oh, that it belongs to the city, and it's right above the new.
Yeah, I know where it is. I just say it's sold. It's just available.
No, it's not. Where they're putting that detention pond, it really wasn't a spot where we could have put anything.
Oh yeah, yeah. I recall.
It's between Axum and the new
Right.
power station out there, so substation.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Is there a motion to approve the financials?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Thank you, Richie. A second?
I'll second.
Thank you. I'll take a roll. Tom Neal,
Yes.
Richie Harble,
Yes.
and Dwayne Scott.
Yes.
And I vote as well. Thank you. Old business, the strategic plan.
This is one where we started discussing it last month while James was out roaming the United States with the wind in his hair. And the board wanted to defer it until he was back. I believe, James, that we're interested in just confirming now that we have the synopsis from Jody Lentz that this is indeed the plan, and presenting it to council. And I'll let James take over on this one.
Yeah, I'm so appreciative of this body's willingness to come together and really work through this, especially the IDB. And the new goals that we've put out there this year are very exciting and very necessary. If you go back to that first page there, I think
First page, yes, sir.
it's got, acquire more land for future development, tell Gallatin's story better, develop the talent, and support the existing businesses. I mean, that's the core of any economic development agency. And so the fact that we've got those up there, I think we also spoke about maybe concentrating on the downtown area as opposed to industrial. The industrial area, I got a call yesterday looking for land to put buildings up. That is something I think we need to keep on the agenda, but looking at the downtown area is also something that I think I would like that to be my BHAG this year. Really concentrate on the downtown area. And I've got some updates on that if that's amenable to this group. And again, it says that public-private partnership. That's something that we'd like to bring together. So if this all looks good, Jeannie, I'd like for you and I to be able to go in front of the city council and deliver this to them like we have in the past, just to make sure they understand that what we are. So
Terrific. Okay, absolutely.
it's good to have it's good to have guardrails to keep this office moving forward, because these strange requests come in and it's so easy for us to get sidetracked.
Sure.
So I'm appreciative of this.
Sure. Awesome. Very good.
All right.
Okay, very good. Did everybody get a copy of this and have any questions or comments about it?
And James, that item that you were talking about is the third bullet point on this page 2.
Yes.
Jeff.
Super.
Tom, are you still reading it, Tom?
Yeah, you mean the third item?
No, I just didn't know if you were still reading it. I was going to stop
No,
sharing it.
Invest in the downtown Gallatin,
Yeah,
downtown,
yeah.
around the square.
And
All
the
right.
opportunity zones. Okay, very good. 2021 Manufacturing Day and Month. Jasmine?
Good morning. Yeah, so we have been working really hard to be creative with our manufacturers this month, since we weren't able to host our annual Manufacturing Day luncheon. And I've not been able to host any of our in-person gear meetings either. And so we actually hadn't invested or used any of our funds that we would usually use. So we went a little over and beyond to help honor our manufacturers. So I don't know if all of y'all have seen, I know you have, Jeannie, the boxes that we put together. They're tool boxes that are manufactured by RC10, and then inside is all items that were manufactured here in Gallatin. And Rosemary and I went out 2 days ago, and then I went out yesterday and started delivering these to our manufacturers, and they have been so appreciative.
That's awesome.
Just floored. So that's one thing that we've done to honor our manufacturers. And then Manufacturing Day is kind of our month is a 2-part thing. So it's also to raise awareness about all the many careers that are available in manufacturing. Yeah, James has got one of the boxes.
Super. Yeah.
So that card, right? Yeah, those were the Gallatin metal, whatever we're calling those. They were manufactured by GF Pool, and they ended up coming through for us at the very last minute. And we worked heavily with them right when the pandemic first happened. And they ended up turning those around in a day of us asking. And then they said, well, we appreciate everything that you did for us during the pandemic. And they ended up just blessing us with those. So, which those probably would have cost a pretty penny. So that was
Very nice.
That was just really encouraging to hear. Rosemary literally cried. She was just floored. But anyway, so Jeff Hinchell and I also put together a manufacturing day video where we went in and we shot, which y'all know the types of videos that we always do. But we did one long one to talk about the careers in manufacturing. And if you haven't watched, I encourage you to do so. You can check it out on our YouTube channel. But we've been getting a really great response from that, both from our industry saying, thank you, this was great, I'm going to share it on my personal page, to people in the community that just have had no idea the different careers. So
Email the link out maybe, Jasmine?
Sure.
Yeah, and Jasmine, I can hear Grayson in the background giving you a shout out for your video.
Yeah, today Grayson starts daycare on Monday, and I've a couple of Fridays I've had to work from home. Thank James for that. But yeah, today's my last one. He's sitting right here. He's like, what's going on?
Very cute.
But yeah, it's been probably the busiest I've ever been since starting has been the last 2 months, and engaged with a lot of our folks that even I've not engaged with in the past. So it's been really good.
How many of the toolboxes were assembled?
So we have a total of 80.
Nice.
And we just got all the items at the end of last week. So we started deliveries this week. But it's manufacturing month, so I have the whole month of October to actually go and do them. So it takes a little bit of pressure off of having to do it in,
Were there some food items in there? What were some of the other things?
So there's popcorn, and Rosemary, you can chime in too.
Yeah, there's a company in Gallatin called KB Popcorn, and she will customize the popcorn flavors for you. And around this time of the year, she'll do it any time of the year, but you can order big tin cans of different popcorn. The popcorn that's in these toolboxes is a blend that she helped create just for the city of Gallatin. She's got a small operation, and she was planning to open up a storefront on the square, and I don't know what the status of that is. She was waiting for the building owner to do whatever he was going to do, but she's fabulous. And again, if you want to try her out, just let us know and I can tell you how to hook up with her.
Coffee.
Yeah, and then we had the coffee, which is from Inside Out, which is a new place in Gallatin. They are in the old Monell's.
Are they open? Are they open?
Yes, ma'am. They opened,
Very cool.
Soft opened yesterday or the day before.
Nice. Good.
So that's from them. And then we have soap, which sorry. James is like Vanna over there. Vanna White over here. So the barbecue sauce that he just put up, that's from Chef Christopher. It's actually steak sauce, and he sells them in Kroger, and we bought it directly from them. So all the things that we purchased, we went directly to them, and they gave us a wholesale price, which was really helpful. And
there's a hat in there, and that was embroidered by Perfect Fit. Obviously, they don't make the cap, and it's really nice. But they do the embroidery. And then, of course, the quintessential Cracker Barrel pegboard game where all the teas are made right here in Gallatin.
Very cool.
So they've gone over really, really well.
Yeah, I'll bet. Yeah.
And the soap, for those of you interested in maybe Christmas gifts or stocking stuffers, it is a soap that the Scent of the Sun, right, Jasmine, is the company. She created a special blend just for the chamber. Only the chamber can sell it, and it's called Grit and Grace. So
Oh, very cool.
it's a unisex smell. It's not girly, it's not manly.
Very nice. And you can find those. Did they sell the hats at the chamber too?
No, those are special made just for us for this
Okay.
box. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, I love those. I can see.
Jasmine, is there any way we could get some publicity in the paper about those boxes? And I probably don't know half of the items that are made in Gallatin, and list all of the different items that are manufactured in Gallatin. I doubt anyone knows. I'm sure it's a
Yeah,
long
absolutely.
list.
Absolutely, Tom. So throughout the month of October, I'm spotlighting a lot of our different companies and who they are and what they make. And so I'll definitely incorporate the different items that are in there. I've kind of primarily been focused on just our gear partners, but I think it's a good idea to also, and the mayor wanted us to do that too. So I will be kind of showing the box and saying where they're from. And I do put them on our stories on our social media, but it kind of goes away after a day of being up versus it being on our page. So I'll put it on our page.
Yeah, there's
I
some
mean,
cool
in the
little trivia there with the Cracker Barrel teas. I guess they go all over the country. I actually didn't know
do.
that. So that's
Yeah.
cool.
It's the smallest job he has. He does it all about in one day. And I don't know that he makes any money off of it, but it's one, he laughs every time we share the story, but it's a claim to fame. So, I did want to interject, and Jasmine may want to expound, but what we found in visiting the people on Wednesday, Laminate Technologies, for example, they make cabinets that are sold in Lowe's and other places. Their business is up 33%, and they have orders. It's going to take them months to fill all their orders. Mainly, they believe because people were staying home or are staying home and focusing on their homes and refurbishing and facelifting.
Mhm.
Axum, what? Oh, Axum has basically filled up their warehouse, and they brought in a company from California. It's a company that was providing them a part. I think it was like a 2-person operation, and that company wanted to get out of California, so they are now in the Axum building. Beretta had a great announcement, and James is going to talk about that. Most of our manufacturers have not been slowed down by the pandemic at all, and very appreciative of the work that Jasmine and our office did with them during the pandemic. So I just want to give her a shout out because they're thrilled when she comes in the door, and some of them have only talked to her on the phone, and so they're excited to meet her in person too. Oh, it's you, how's the baby, that kind of thing.
Very nice. Very nice.
Right.
Good community involvement. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else before we move on?
Nope, I think that's it on my end.
Okay. Facebook construction.
Welcome to my world. It's incredible the amount of dirt that they're moving out there, and the number of people that are out there, everything that's going on. They've been blasting daily and will for another 11 weeks. If you're ever bored at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you can go sit out in the cul-de-sac by Beretta and watch and listen. And I am out there every day too, because my office had to answer all the calls regarding complaints about blasting. And so took those calls, we've talked to them. Facebook sent Jeff Prawl out here, and he and I went and knocked on those doors, and it was wonderful. He just looked them right in the face and said, "We will make you whole. You have to give us 12 weeks to finish blasting." And actually, those calls have all but stopped at this point in time.
Nice.
So very, very appreciative of their approach. And DPR is being a very, very good neighbor. For instance, there's a fans market out there. A couple of them go to breakfast there every day. Found out one of the young women there was having a birthday. They took her on site, let her push the button to blow stuff up. And so, I mean, things like that. It's just, they're just being really, really good about it. I got to push the button and blow stuff up a while back. That was pretty cool too. Again, moving quickly, We don't know. They still can't give us an end date on the first building until they finish the pad, and they tell us 21 months from the day they start pouring concrete, it will be finished. Kind of thing. They've got such a schedule going out there. Rosendon Electric is working to hire 300 plus electricians at this point in time. You may have seen we've had some Channel 2 came up last week and then earlier this week and interviewed me, and actually was on, I think it was Monday, they came and interviewed me, and then right after that segment aired, they did another segment on Gallatin about Rosendon Electric. So we've gotten a lot of good press here, just taking advantage of it. And actually Monday's interview with me wasn't about Facebook, it was about the growth in Gallatin.
Okay.
So it's, the reporter said her boss had told her to pay attention to Gallatin, to be here. So that's kind of nice to have things like that going on. So, and other than that, it is just daily. You know, it really does take up a lot of time. We know that any project, it takes up, you know, it's harder to get it up out of the ground than it is to get them here, kind of thing. So that's what we're spending a lot of time doing.
Terrific.
Hey, James, with Facebook, as many of y'all know, they're paving Hartsville Pike right now, and there's been some discussion that's being done because of Facebook coming in. Is there, and you may have mentioned this before, forgive me if I missed it, but is there another side entrance going into the Facebook development other than Industrial Park there? Okay.
Yes, there will be a road that goes down to Hartsville Pike from going to continue on. It's the Gateway Drive extension. That's what that $1 million is in our budget for.
Right.
That's the first payment on that. Eventually, probably a $6 million road that Facebook is paying for.
Okay.
But I do not believe that there's any connection between the paving of Hartsville Pike and the new road. There's been no mention of that. So
There's no connection. It was just.
we are the city is annexing the right of way from Airport Road out to where we are putting that intersection in, just so that we can control it, because there'll be a stoplight out there that we're going to have to take control of and responsibility for. So in order for that to be on our property, we had to go ahead and annex everything out to that. So that's what's going on there. In fact, the bids are, the bids are out for the road now. And when are those due?
They are due on October the 22nd, and it doesn't appear that construction or site work will begin until late November or December. It's a 254-day project. In theory, with no weather delays, it should be done at the end of July, early August of next year.
For perspective, about where does the road come out? Is it on the east side of Sunnymead or on the west side of Sunnymead?
The east side.
Okay, that far out then.
The
Okay.
Hallman's property. I don't know if you know Randy Beach's house out there.
Yeah,
got big
or
brick that
maybe
says
even,
Beach. So it's just to the east of his
I see. Okay,
property.
okay.
Actually, let's see, Rosemary, can I share my screen? And just show
Your
it?
screen? Yeah, hold on. Let me fix that. Share all participants. All participants.
All right.
Be able to share.
Okay, let me push the button. All right. So, zooming in on the project. Everybody see that okay?
Mhm.
So the road, here's the cul-de-sac out there now. The road basically is going to come down around here and then out to Hartsville Pike right here.
Okay.
Yep. All right.
Got it.
John.
Okay. Is that a segue then to Facebook community involvement?
Yeah. One of the things that was exciting about this whole process was talking, couple years ago with the folks from Facebook that would tell us, you know, here's the kind of things that we do in our communities. Here's how we support. And that really wasn't something I was able to take forward. So they have sent Katie Comer out here once, and she'll be coming back. She is their community partner manager for the several data centers. And she's actually coming back on the 20th, where I'm going to introduce her to Dell Phillips and to Terry Faulkner, and we'll sit down. And she was basically, you know, tell Dell to get his pencil sharp. Let's figure out what it is they need there. And so in other communities, you know, they've made sure that every student has a laptop. They've helped out some communities that need connectivity. They did that really unique way. They'll retrofit a school bus and send it out in the middle of the county where they don't have, you know, the connectivity.
Internet.
Let kids climb on the school bus and do their homework if they don't have that connectivity. So just things like that. They'll be a great community partner. They're going to need, you know, chefs out there, and so they can hook up with Vol State and their culinary program. There's just a lot of good things that'll come out of that. In other communities, you know, recently they've written $750, $1.3 million checks for different projects in the community. When they were talking to us, you know, originally it's like, they don't just write a $200,000 check to United Way and walk away. They find people out there that truly have a need and go ahead and address that. So we're really excited about that ongoing conversation. Yeah.
That's neat. Good. Community survey results.
Yeah, I
Okay.
just want to share these just really briefly with you. There's a whole lot of information on our website. All the data reports are there. This was part of the strategic plan the City Council adopted in 2018 to do a baseline community survey where we could compare how we're doing to other communities of our size. It was done by ETC Institute. They are creating an online dashboard to go live in a couple of weeks where you can dive down into the results. I just have a few pages to share with you. Overall, the city of Gallatin did fabulously in some categories. We did so well that ETC is going to have to shift its national baselines to adjust for how well we did. But related to our board and our mission, perhaps, people are actually overall, when you include the neutrals, are pleased with the quality of growth. They're pleased with the overall quality of new commercial. Rate of growth is, you know, still on the positive side. And then, of course, when we get into residential and managing, that's where it gets a little heavier on the red side. And we know that's a reaction to change, particularly apartments. Here's the best slide of all, and this is also sort of what it is what we learned when we did our brand survey, which was overwhelmingly people love living here and they would recommend it. You know, they're very proud of Gallatin, which is a great thing for our community. Here is the type of development they either think we don't have enough of, which is the light red, or they think we have too much. So again, they want us to concentrate on land preservation and retail development. And this meeting spaces, I was glad to see that it's on here because we desperately need a quality professional meeting space. And then of course, they overwhelmingly think we have too much residential multifamily development. So, and then this is interesting because most of the people who answer this survey, well, 32% get all their news from Facebook. So we don't know if they literally go to a news Facebook page, or it's their friends, or it's a group they're in where they might not even know people. This company, now that we've done the baseline, will allow us to do what they call pulse, P-U-L-S-E surveys. And for a couple of $1,000s or less, we could dive down into any category we want to dive down into. And they were unaware of some of the ways that we communicate, and you can watch meetings, for example. The city does communicate on many platforms, and when we delve into the marketing segment of the agenda, we still need to do, overall as a city, continue to do our multiple layers of outreach. A lot of people really like getting their newsletter in the utility bill. I don't look at that anymore because mine is paid electronically. So, and then this was interesting, the percentage of the people who do or don't know about some of the things that we offer. And again, great place to raise children, to retire, and that overall, the exception of 18% who don't think we're going in the right direction, they think we're going in the right direction. So there's a ton of deep dive results and maps that show where people live, who answers certain ways, but and I can share information with you, but I just wanted you to see that some of the pages that relate to the work that we do.
Super, great.
Comments? Does the city council view that? I'm sure they must. The results we just saw.
The gentleman who worked with us from ETC, he did a long summary presentation to them. And that's also why we're getting the dashboard. The dashboard, electronic dashboard, was an add-on. But they are giving it to us because normally at non-COVID times, he would have flown in and met with everybody. And so because we didn't have that expense, which was in the contract, they're creating this online dashboard. Tom, I think it's like anything else. The council members individually and some of our department heads and even the citizens just need to take time to really look at all the answers and decide what areas they want to focus on. He did say that police, which did overwhelmingly well, that was still a priority, and then in a good way, it did great, but keep it going great. And then controlling the growth was a negative that needs to be focused on, which we're doing with the comprehensive development plan. So I don't know if that answered your question, Tom. I tried.
Yeah, I see some of the people that are running for the city council are, their platform is based on we're expanding too many apartments and this, that, and the other. So somebody's reading it, I guess. I don't know.
Awning?
So as part of our negotiations with Facebook, that piece of property through which the road goes down there that belonged to Mr. Holloman came with protective provisions on it that said until 2025, it could only be used for residential or agricultural use. So, and Randy Beach refused to sign off to let us put that road through there for quite some time. Then we discovered that years ago, when the city redid the downtown area, they took down awnings on his buildings because they were not ADA compliant. They had poles that came down. So we had to take them down, and he wanted us, the city, to pay to put new awnings back up. And so as part of that, to get everything put together, the mayor and I sat down with him and came to this agreement. Originally, it was $4,000, but he made some changes. So now the new total is $6,000 that we need to pay for out of our reserve committed account. So I'm asking this body to approve this expenditure.
And his downtown buildings are, I think he owns that Artist Hatchery sort of on the lower end.
And, and the white
north end.
He has 4 addresses in a row. One already has a black and white awning on it. It was the Wayne Mercantile. Yes,
Right.
We artisan hatchery, and then there's 2 other spaces. One's a tiny little doorway, but yes.
James, this is in exchange for what?
Him signing off and allowing us to put the road through that property.
Okay.
Quid pro quo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I move forward and accept it then.
Thank you, Dwayne. Second?
I second.
Okay. All those in favor, roll call. Tom,
Yes,
Richie,
Yes.
and Dwayne.
Yes.
And I for me as well. Thank you. All right, James, Executive Director's report.
Okay. And this is news to my staff too. Project Advantage, we had a site visit earlier this week. And I just got an email last night that said we're one of their top 2 sites. If we can carve out 6 acres. The problem is they don't need a very big building. And so I'm going to be back working with them today to try to determine how we can maybe carve out a small piece of property out of that 30 some odd acres that we have left out there that would be acceptable to them.
Do you know what they are? What they do?
They make springs for every industry out there. And I also let them know that we wouldn't show our property to them unless their starting wages were $20 an hour. And they come in at $19.49 an hour are their starting wages and go up from there. So that's why they're being allowed to even consider coming on that property there. So that's working very well for us also. So we'll be working that one forward.
how many people will they employ, James, roughly?
60. And then Beretta, ladies and gentlemen, 6 years later, yay, they finally bumped up their starting wages to 14 plus, and they gave everybody there a $2 or $3 raise, depending on who they were, what they were doing. So, I mean, this has been a long process, but it's finally happened out there. So we're really, really excited about that. That company has gone through more employees than any other company in Gallatin. They just roll through them. Obviously, the pay, no air conditioning, mandatory overtime, a whole bunch of things that have been going on out there. So we've finally got a crew in there that is being proactive and helping us out, which is really.
How are they situated contract-wise now,
They can't make enough guns.
Really?
They are way behind in their numbers. There's such a demand out there right now. They're blowing and going, Tom. Gun
Good.
sales overall,
Interesting.
which is also why Axum is also as busy as they are. Just gun sales in particular are very, very busy. And they've just brought a new gentleman over from Italy. I had to help him get all his paperwork in order, but he'll be here for probably a year or 2. So it'll be fun to have him in and out of here. I'm sorry?
Do they usually, when they bring people over, leave them here, or do they rotate them between the states and back to Italy?
They leave him here for a while. This gentleman, again, had to help him get his driver's license, social security number, all those things, so he could put his bank accounts together, that kind of thing. So he'll be here for probably close to a year, Tom. Wanted to talk to you about the IDB. As you know, they contracted with GNRC to do all their administrative work and some of their legal work. Decided that that's not necessarily the best fit for them, and GNRC agreed. So GNRC is going to help them transition, but they'll be looking for something new, and we don't know if it's going to be a part-time hire, how they're going to do that at this point in time. Just know that they're kind of in a state of flux at this point in time. Their next meeting in November falls on a holiday, so it looks like they won't be meeting there, but we need to get the GAP wants to come in front of them to ask for a pilot There are GAP's planning to invest about $65 million and hire another 500 people to help with their online fulfillment. So they're coming in front of the IDB just to ask for a personal property tax abatement for 3 years. So that's where we are at the IDB. DNS Industries. Yes, Tom.
Is GAP going to have any problem getting the 500 people?
Yes. Yes. And that's, that's one of the things that we're going to be helping them with. And actually, Jasmine, you and I need to talk this afternoon about Hitch rewards and get him back up here. So yeah, we're working with them, trying to find ways to bring people in to the area, because it's if you put that 500 jobs and then the 400 plus that Rosenden wants, and we've got 1,200 construction workers, we've got 1,000 plus jobs empty in this city right now. So people complaining about the growth, we need that growth to fill these jobs.
What is GAP starting wage?
$13.50 an hour.
Okay.
And their full-time, they just raised to $14.25. So their seasonal employees is $13.50, and then they just raised it to $14.25, and they're doing a $500 signing bonus.
Do they have a shift premium also?
I do not believe so. I could be wrong about that, but we've done some videos for them to help them promote and boost it on Facebook, and they've gotten a lot of really great engagement, and they've been very appreciative of the help and support that we've offered. We're trying our best to get creative with other ways that we can help, but we have done that, and that's been helpful. Sorry to interrupt you, James.
That's all right.
Well, James, so would you, or I can just talk about the unemployment rate and how it's,
Yeah, of course, it spiked 13, 14% back then, and I think we're right about 5% unemployment here in Gallatin. I think it's 7% roughly in the county at this point in time. We've got 1,000 plus jobs. Rutherford County, talking to my cohorts down there, they've got 5,000 jobs that they can't fill down there right now. So it's I'm not sure where these people that are so hard hit by the pandemic are. We could use them. We really could at this point in time. It's going to be a tough struggle.
James, what is the electrical Rosen? What's the name of the company?
Rosen.
When are they starting? When
they are already. They're already out there knocking on doors, and their starting wages are $29.
Okay.
And
what are the electricians doing out there?
Very skilled.
Well, right now, nothing, because they're still doing site work. But these data centers, and they'll have those 300 or 400 people out there for 6 years as they start putting these buildings, just wiring all of those data banks together, and they put it together, and then they measure by lasers 3 different times before they call for an inspection from the city. So I mean, it's just a heavy involved job out there, and it's, like I said, they'll be there for 6 years. That's gonna have a huge positive impact on our community too. I'm excited about that.
That was a nice article in the county paper this week. Well done.
Good. DNS industry is they're still blasting, so that's been part of the interesting thing too. One of the women that was complaining about this came in and said, I bought a house last August, and there's been blasting ever since. And there basically has, because there was Archer Data Center that was blasting, and then DNS Industries was blasting, and then Facebook started blasting. So I mean, there has been quite a bit going out there, but DNS is just about done. And I was out there yesterday. They're starting to lay the pad, so that one should start going north here fairly quick. Wanted to talk to you about the square. We talked about redeveloping around the downtown area, and yesterday, or day before yesterday, I went down to Franklin, talked with a gentleman named Steve Bacon, who has done their mixed-use development down there. They took down almost a whole block down there, and they put up a hotel. They put up 219 apartments and a parking garage and retail and commercial around this. Just a really spectacular development. And yeah, it's funny how some of these limits get put on things. And it's actually Steve's father that helped put these rules in place in Franklin. If they can have no more than 220 apartments in one place. So there's 219 in this development. And the building, no building can be higher than the spire on the Masonic Lodge down there. So that's why there was some height limitations they had to deal with. And that's just fun where some of those unique limitations come from. So went down, spoke with him, and I got an email the next day that says, listen, we're just about done here, going to roll into asset management. We're looking for something else to do. We'd like to see if we might be a good fit for Gallatin. So, because you can trust me, I was selling Gallatin hard while I was down there, hoping that this would happen. And so I'm taking some time next week, but when I come back, the mayor and I are going to go back down there, let her look at what the development is, and then we're going to bring him up here and start looking around the Gallatin area and see what if there might be something that they'd be interested in doing. So we're trying to move that forward as quickly as we can. It took them 5 years to do their project, but they had to assemble, I think, 21 parcels and do a lot of work like that. Here, there's some areas that could be taken down quickly with just 1 or 2 owners. So we'll see. He also worked very, their capital stack was very, very unique in the way they put this together. They got some pre-development money to assemble the parcels. And then, for instance, the parking garage, half of it's leased out to the apartments, half of it's leased out to the hotel. And then, so they can kind of take that off because they have a different entity that owns that, different entity that owns the hotel, different entity that owns the apartments. It all comes under an umbrella, but they put these capital stacks out there. They also, for the apartments themselves, it's a HUD project, but it's I can't remember the exact term of it, but it's market rate. It's not, everything has to be done at a market rate. But one of the good things about that is that there's an 81% LTV instead of a regular 75%, so that you don't have to have as much money up front. And the loan is non-recourse, which also helps out as you're putting all that together there. So I think we've got some great group of folks here that hopefully we can start moving forward on that. Any questions on that? Okay. Also, I gathered a handful of local bankers together, and we went through this Silver Tsunami workshop that I sent out there before, and they're all, yes, very positive about us doing that. So we're going to put together some kind of an awareness campaign. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to look. We're talking with the chamber to maybe have that be the topic at one of their meetings to help get it out to some of those smaller businesses also. And then I've got a list, I think, of 151 privately held, basically sole proprietorships that are in the Gallatin area that are owned by folks, by boomers. So we're going to start knocking on those doors also and making sure we keep that awareness up and hopefully keep some of that capital here in Gallatin. We've got the detention pond. Rosemary mentioned it's on its way out to bid. We've got the road that's out to bid. So Rosemary is going to be very, very busy, very busy with all the projects going on here. So I'm excited about that. And then just one more thing, and I've just kind of taken this on myself. In front of the city council Tuesday night, there were 5 houses that were up for demolition. 4 of them I was really good with. One of them has a Vietnam veteran that's living in it, and he'd be homeless kind of thing. So what I've done is I've reached out to DPR and Rosendin and DNS Industries, Bob Goodall, to see if we can do something to help this gentleman, keep him in his house, get something there. I've learned quite a bit since I raised my hand and said I'd do that. There are some challenges out there. He is an alcoholic and gets his check at the beginning of the month, and there's not much left to pay the bills. So that's why the electricity's been cut off and the water's been cut off. And it's actually a mobile home that's kind of falling apart. So there's not like we can go in and repair it. So I'm not sure exactly what that's going to look like, but I just wanted you to know that we're spending a little bit of time trying to help this gentleman. DNS Industries is, of course, a veteran-owned company, And so when I called him, he's like, yeah, and we'll get folks from Fort Campbell here, you know, whatever. I think so. We've got a group of people that really want to help. We're just got to figure out what that help might look like.
That Danny?
Awesome.
I'm sorry?
Is that Danny?
I don't know who Danny, I don't know the gentleman's
Okay.
name.
Okay.
And that's it.
What's 109?
I'm sorry, Tom.
What's the status of 109, road builder?
Well, you know, the 109 from the bridge down to Highway 70 was supposed to have been finished at the end of last year, and it's not. That's the status, Tom. It's not. It's not. TDOT sends out quarterly updates, and the last one, they were closing off one of those intersections because they had to put in another big pipe or something like that. Since I'm not really hands-on in charge of that one, I don't really have any estimate of when it will really get done, to be honest.
Hatton Track, you have an estimate on that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Hatton Track. And by the way, Richie's cat was saying hi to us in the picture there. Hatton Track, they are getting ready in the next week or so to pour the concrete on the overpass at 109. They are still on track to complete the section of the road from the 109 over to Bly Street, Old 109, that intersection. The section that goes from Bly Street across the railroad tracks over to Dobbins Pike is probably not going to be completed until late next year. It took several more months than expected to get some shoring plans, and it was a whole engineering thing, Tom, and you might have been thrilled to be part of the discussion, but most of it just flew over my head.
No.
But there was a challenge in putting up all the structures they needed to put up to keep everything up in the air while they're taking it down. So, because we have to keep the road open while they're the old road open while they're building the new one. So
Thanks.
And you know, unfortunately, most of the progress is on the section that you can't see because it's not open yet and it's over that vacant land. But I'm happy with the progress. We meet every 2 weeks on that one.
And Jeff took his drone and we put a video on our YouTube. So if you want to, Rosemary worked with Jeff to do that. So if you want to see the drone flying over on the progress on the project, you can find it on our YouTube. And I'll send those links out after the meeting.
How about that over Facebook to see how vast that project is? You can't tell by driving either out there. You can't begin to tell the size of that project.
So I think there is some footage that exists, but they are very, very private. They've got a sign up front that says no drones, you know, you can't.
Oh, well, really?
Yeah. I've got Kevin McCutcheon, got a new helicopter. I'm hoping he'll take me up and we might sneak some pictures out of that when we're out there. And I'll see if they have something out there.
Helicopters allowed, drones, but helicopters are okay. Is that what you're saying?
Well, they can't control a helicopter.
It's bigger than a drone.
Yeah.
James, are you finished?
I am.
Well, would you throw in, although we sent out the news release, would you talk a little bit about Boise?
Oh, yeah. It's crazy, folks, here, just all the stuff that's going, but Boise Cascade is now officially in the Fowler Lumber building, starting to do some work out there. That was a unique conversation. The gentleman they put in charge of it had never done a site location before and really needed his hand held. We get 3 or 4 phone calls a day about some very, inane questions. but it's finally, they are a publicly traded company, so we had to wait until they actually put out the statement. And it's because it's SEC trade, you have to this is a forward-looking statement, all that kind of stuff, although when a publicly traded company makes an announcement. But we're glad they're here. They'll be putting in a rail spur and spending quite a bit of money to refurbish and redo that place up there. But it was we finally got them up here. That was about a year to work through that process too.
Their business is booming nationwide because of the building boom. They make a lot of plywood, but I don't know what they're going to do out there. That's a different kind of operation. That
Engineered trusses and that kind of stuff. They'll be
okay.
bringing bringing the lumber from Canada for the most part.
Yeah.
So interestingly enough, in June, the city had $24 million worth of building permits, residential, 27 in July, 30 million in August. And then it dropped down to about 15 million in residential permits in September. But talking to folks, it's because of the shortage and the cost of lumber. The lumber has gotten really expensive because of all the building that's going on. And as people have been selling these houses quicker than they originally envisioned, they don't have lots prepared. We've got a bunch of approved lots, but they don't have the infrastructure. So that's kind of why things have started to slow down a little bit here. But the demand just keeps growing for housing here. It's going to keep us healthy for quite some time.
I think they're a Canadian company.
Yes.
Their stock's gone straight up recently.
Yep. All right.
Sales tax revenues are holding their own, I see, and still good. Yeah.
They're above, collections are above pre-COVID projections here in Gallatin.
Right.
They have been the entire time. It never dropped below the year before, just from day one.
Anybody know how the census is coming?
Yes. Happily, once the enumerators started going door to door, we don't have a Gallatin specific census tract count, but overall the Nashville regional area that we are in, when you do self-reporting plus door to door, we're at 99.2% complete. And then, of course, the courts ruled that they had to keep doing it till the end of October. The administration is challenging that, but as of today, they're still doing door to door. So.
You got a guesstimate what Gallatin's going to come in at?
James is the one, well, Tom, you're in Rotary with him too. Your Rotary buddy there has the scoop.
Yeah, Mark Kimball.
I couldn't go. I couldn't sign on yesterday, so I missed them.
In the 2010 census and the 2015 special census, it came out to be 2.4 residents per electric meter, almost exactly. So if we extrapolate that same number, we're at about 45,000 here in Gallatin right now. Yeah. University of Tennessee put out a new study. I called the professor over there. We are still the 4th fastest growing city in the state of Tennessee, behind Murfreesboro, Nashville, and Spring Hill jumped in front of us, and then Gallatin, but we're still the 4th fastest growing city in the state.
Well, we don't get paid on Mark's estimate. You get paid on how many people are actually.
That's right.
Yes.
And then James came close to death when he suggested that as soon as the U.S. Census was over, if it wasn't the number we wanted, we would do a special census. Okay. And because I've been doing the census for the last 6 years now, I threw a bottle of lotion at him.
Sanitized lotion, I'm sure.
Yes, it was. All healthy.
It was.
Yes.
That's good.
Thank you.
All right.
Right.
So, I think if we're done there, let's close the meeting and then hang tight just for a minute.
Okay. All right. So I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion.
Second.
Thank you.